Hello, welcome to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, a real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, and managing partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You can reach us at templarcashforhouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. That's one word. Or you could call us at 973 240 8593. And we could answer any questions you may have, or you could email us from our website. Again, to ask any questions or anything you want discussed on this show. For first time listeners, my company is a real estate investment firm. We buy houses for cash. We purchase apartment buildings. We do joint ventures with other real estate investors. We loan money for rehabs and provide transactional and gap funding as well. We work with individuals that want to invest with us in single family houses up to apartment buildings. We do not speculate and we're very protective of our money and our investors' money. We're not a brokerage and I'm not a real estate agent, but I have individuals on staff that are agents that could sell your house through the traditional multiple listing service. This show is going to go over everything there is about real estate and those things that impact real estate. We'll talk about our rehabs, some of our investments, what went well, what did not go well, and how we learned from them. We'll talk about the economy and interest rates. We'll discuss trends in the real estate market. Real estate is one of your biggest investments, so it's important you know as much as possible about it. I'm going to provide you with my opinion. It's only my opinion. Please do lots of research. Again, I say every week, if you ask for a reference, please ask lots of questions to your friend or whoever it is that's given that reference. Again, you don't want afterwards to be dissatisfied with that individual or company, and then you're upset at the person saying, "Well, why didn't you tell me that?" So ask lots of questions, please. I want to do a shout out to Paulette, crossing guard from Livingston, as I do every week, as well as Tim from Cedar Grove. And also, I want to do Lisa and Cindy. So, hey guys, hopefully everything's going well. Thank you for all your comments also. Let's also thank some of our private investors that invested with us on certain projects as well. A couple other things. As always, I tell everyone, we buy houses for cash. That's what we do. That's one of our core businesses. We have a number of other areas within real estate investing that we do as well. But we buy houses in New Jersey. So some of the areas we buy houses in Newark, we buy houses in Jersey City, we buy houses in Bloomfield, New Jersey. So we buy, and also, and that's mostly the north, but we also buy in Somerville, we buy in Brick, New Jersey, just to name a few. We buy in every county in New Jersey as well, and we buy a number of houses in South Jersey. So if you're looking for a cash buyer, please give Templar a call. We'll buy your property. We'll buy it as is, and you determine the closing date. The only thing I say with the closing date is that I like to have it within preferably 60 days because I need to get into that house, rehab, and things can change pretty quickly in the economy. So I'm always concerned about that, and I always look at that from a risk perspective. Also, we're having free seminars and free one-on-one sessions on passively investing in real estate. So, someone might come to you and say, I'd like you to invest your IRA into a property I'm rehabbing, we'll say. And you really don't know how to evaluate it. So I will go over that with you. If you're interested, it's www.investwithtemplar.com. It's a short form, just fill it out, and we could set up a session. We could talk about it, and I go over the different areas that you need to look at to see if it's a sound investment. Okay, as I always say, I can't tell you though how to evaluate the person. Okay, that's the only thing. I could give some hint on certain things you have to look out for, but again, some of it is really just the person. It's the money side and what you're buying it for, and fixing it up, but also it's the person itself. Just like when you go for any type of company, you're banking on the company or the people in the company. So that's very, very important. Again, I like real estate because it's a hard asset. It's very tangible, so it's very easy for the most part to determine, what it's worth. There might be some plus or minus. You might not be able to determine it to the exact penny or exact dollar, but you could definitely be very close to where it should be evaluated in terms of the cost, what it's valued at, and what you should be able to sell it at. And that's very, very important. One of the things that investors do a lot is they underestimate the rehab costs or overestimate what they could sell the house for. And those are two areas that are very, very important that we really got to look at. Those are the two main areas: rehab costs and what you're going to sell it for. A lot of times they'll be very, very generous on what they could sell it for. And we're to the contrary, so we're very conservative on that. Uh, our rehabs, we are fairly close, but we do go over a number of times because we really don't know, everything once we open up a wall or something. And I'm not going to not fix something that needs to be fixed. Now, there's certain things that you don't have to fix, and there's other things that you need to fix. Okay, a house when you rehab it can't be 100%. You just can't. So you have to balance it out, but especially from safety perspectives and code perspectives, we're always make sure that we do the right thing. Some things we might not change because we don't want to get involved in certain things, uh, but on the flip side, we'll leave certain things as is, and other things we have to change. And it's important that they're done right. I have a house right now. We're in the process of purchasing in Clifton. I'll talk a little bit about it. I guess I'll talk about it now. So I brought it up a little bit last week. Woman, she's early signs of dementia. Her brother-in-law and her sister are selling it for her. We went under contract. The contract was a painful process, as I said last week, because their attorney really was not a strong attorney. And on top of it, the attorney that I used, she, made some mistakes also, and I was very upset at that. Excuse me. So one of the things that came up in the inspection, and again, I buy as is that there's termite damage. And right now, we're going to have to change some things and fix some things because of the termite damage. They're live termites, and we're going to get a treatment done immediately. Even though we haven't purchased it yet, it's under contract, and I know it's going to go through, so I have no problem. Sometimes doing something ahead of time. She's not living in there right now. She had moved out, and we expect to close in the next week or so. Everything's coming back fine with the title, and everything looks good. We have the money set aside from our lines of credit, and it'll go. Should go very smoothly. But we're going to have to do some things with that, and there's some settling in the back. Also, it's an older house, so there's always those types of things for older houses. Termites, settling, the foundation, things like that. So we'll jump on those. We'll correct them as need be, but we won't not do it, or we won't cover it up. We don't do those things. It's very very important to us. One of the things that I had said last week is that my attorney, which she had asked if we could use her services because I had a opening. I used two or three attorneys because of the number of transactions I use, and she said, "Joe, I'd like to work with you." I said, "Fine." And one of my previous attorneys had retired, so there was an opening, and I said, "No problem." And she didn't communicate the way she should have, and I made sure I brought that to her attention very clearly in an email. And I felt she didn't read the situation clearly, and as a result of that, she didn't communicate also with us, and we could have lost the deal. So I was very, very upset, to say the least. For her, she loses out. It's a transaction. It's $1,500. That's not the same for us. So I was very upset at that, and I expect a lot from my attorneys and all the individuals that work for us. And when we provide a service, I expect us to give the highest quality service as well. So, right now, after this transaction, I probably won't use her again because this is the second time I've had an issue. First time was uh, a number of months ago. When everything goes well, it's always, well, that person's a good attorney, or that person's a good contractor, or that person's a good whatever. But it's not really when things go well, it's when things go bad. Or if they do things to make a bad outcome. And this attorney had one of the associates work on this one contract, and we were selling a house for someone, and they did not collect the earnest money, and I kept pushing on it, and they kept pushing on the attorney, but I don't think they were as forceful as they should have been. And as a result of it, we had some issues towards the end, towards closing time. They were all resolved, happily, but I was very upset at not collecting originally the earnest money. And, I wrote an email to articulate it. And I said to her that jeopardized the transaction, and the other attorney did not really feel a sense of urgency, and we had some additional issues with the attorney which we're trying to resolve. But I was very upset with her. I said, "You can't be doing that. It's like basic 101." And she said we couldn't do anything about it. I said, "No, that's not the case." I said, "We needed to put a stronger front." And I knew this would get to her. It wasn't a long email, but I said, you look like a paper tiger. So that I knew was going to get to her. And if, I looked up, I know the meaning of it, but I wanted to look up the definition just to make it clear to everyone. So, uh, paper tiger is a little literal English translation for a word in China, Chinese. In Chinese, they use that saying a lot of times, paper tiger. And the term refers to something or someone that claims or appears to be powerful or threatening, but is actually ineffectual and unable to withstand the challenge. And I knew that would get to her, and it did. And she said, "No, I'm not a paper tiger. Then you'd have to sue them, and we'd have to go through, things in court." And I says, "That's fine." I says, "Then we should have done that." I says, "I have no issues with it. I've done that before." And I said, "The attorney manhandled us, and we should have been more forceful, and you should have been, and your team should have been." And if the transaction was just with me and my attorney, I could have enforced that. But because it was with a seller, I could only recommend so much to them, even though they're going through our agent. I could only recommend so much. Because if something goes sideways, like I said, "Joe, it's your fault." So I have to leave it up to really the attorney and the seller to work through this stuff. But we always keep an eye on the transaction, and we always, you know, talk to the attorney and say, "What's going on here? Things should be moving along a lot quicker." And they're reassuring everything, and we could only go so far with that. But after that situation and the one where she didn't communicate, it's unfortunately, but we're going to have to part ways. Even though she's had a number of successful transactions, these are two examples, and I can't have a person on my team that works that way. And then what made me more infuriated was that a month later, when I was complaining about not collecting the money, uh, she put something out on social media saying that you got to collect the money because you don't have any footing if you don't, and you have no way of doing, enforcing certain things. So I preached about it. Now she's putting it on social media like it was hers. So that kind of just got me really crazy. So you have people going, "Yeah, you're right, you're right," but I had to make it very clear to her that that's the way it should be. So I was very upset at that, to say the least. So I'm going to have to close out this segment. Again, you could reach us at 973 240 8593. Again, that's 973 240 8593 or TemplarCashForHouses.com. Thank you very much. Hello, welcome back to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, Managing Partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You could reach us at 973 240 8593. Again, that's 973 240 8593 or TemplarCashForHouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. Again, if you need to sell your house fast for cash, please give us a call. If you want to sell your house through the traditional multiple listing service, please give us a call. Also, I have some really great agents on staff that'll help you sell your property. I've been looking at a lot of properties, and there's depending on the location and the selling price of the property, there's been some downward pressure, we'll say. Ridgewood is one example. I saw a number of houses that are being reduced 50,000, 100,000, so on and so forth. So, you know, you have to be careful with some of that stuff. And that's why I was preaching earlier on in the year about trying to sell your house as fast as possible before additional inventory comes on the market. And as a result of it, there is a little bit of downward pressure depending on, again, the location and how expensive the property is. The ones that are more expensive, 800, a million, 1.2, so on and so forth. You're starting to see some downward pressure on that. And, I'm getting a number of calls on those types of properties also, so I got to watch it as well, because those properties are a lot bigger, and as a result, they need a lot more rehabbing, and the finishes are higher end, so on and so forth. But I'm getting a lot of those. Also, as a result, I have another individual that called me this week, and it's a developer, and he got into some type of accident, really hurt himself really bad, and he's not able to finish the development. So I'm going to be looking at it this week. I think it's like 12 houses, 14 houses that need to be built still in this one complex. So we might be doing that. I have a few other development projects that are possibly brewing up as well. A buddy of mine, he's an investor down Newark, and he has some properties in the north side, and they're large double lots. So we might just knock them down and then build up. I think it could be approved for like 16 units on one and 20 something units on another. So we'll see. But we do anything with real estate. I shy away a little bit from just like strip malls. I really don't like that. But when it comes to some type of housing, I like that a lot. And we'll look at it just about anything that comes across, and we're always open. If you have any large properties in terms of like 100 plus units for apartment buildings, please give us a call. It doesn't matter what state it's in, except for New York and California. So please give us a call on that. Again, if you have a number of properties you want to sell as a package, we're very, very open to that. I was looking at one down the shore. It was about 7 properties, but we couldn't come to a deal on that one. But please give us a call on any type of scenario you want to get out of a property, or you want to sell a group of properties, so on and so forth. Or you have a deal that you're working on, give us a call. I am conservative in my underwriting, as I always say. I do not speculate. So if it's very speculative, I'll probably say no to it. I had an individual call me this week, so he had a property that he wants me to buy. He wants me to buy as is, and he wants to live in it for a year after he buys it. And what he wanted to do is he wanted me to buy it at full market value. It was like 850,000, and this is as is, and it needs work. But he wanted me to purchase it at full market value, live there for a year, and for me not to collect any rent or anything, and he would just pay for the property insurance. I was like, I just never heard of anyone proposing such an outlandish deal to me like that. Usually, if someone wants to sell their house, they'll say, Joe, I'm going to sell it at, I know I have to reduce it, and they'll put a number out, and I might agree with them or I might not, but um, I've never had it where, oh yeah, I'm going to live in the house for free and just pay for utilities and property tax. I was like, well, I'm paying all this money. He says, well, it's a cash offer, so it's you're not you don't have to make a loan out. And it's like, even first of all, I'm not going to use just $850,000 in cash out of my bank account to purchase a property. I'll use, like I always say, a line of credit. And even if I did, there's still a cost to that. So he was very naive, or I don't know what he was. So I was a little I was very surprised by it. I countered with a couple of things. We went back and forth in a couple of emails. I haven't heard from him, but he's not going to be able to get this. situation this way because he has another house that's being built, so he wants to stay in it. And he also doesn't want me to go into the house because he says his granddaughter's in there and she's very, susceptible to any type of flus or diseases or anything like that. And with COVID still around, so he doesn't want me to do that as well. So I have to buy it based on pictures and his word on it, and then he has to wants to stay in it for free. So like I said, I sent a couple of we went back and forth a couple of times on some proposals, but I haven't heard anything since. So like I says, I don't see that happening. So a couple other quick things before I have to close out the show. The other session took a little longer than I usually do with that segment. So, but I spoke about it last week. I'll continue to speak about it. Is inflation? Now the Fed chair Jerome Powell expects inflation to ease by like 2022. First it was 2021. I said months and months ago, it's not going to happen in 2021. There's no way. Again, I think these individuals are hoping and praying because these guys are bright guys, but they don't want to admit to certain things. I think it's based on politics and everything else because it's so clear. They're saying that there's bottlenecks in the supply chain and that's what's causing it, but they're expecting that it'll ease up next year. As I said last week or the week before, that's not going to change either. That's not going to change. There's a big shift in terms of the way people want to work and what they're doing. They, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a major problem in terms of the workforce and what they're doing. Right now, there's bus drivers for schools and stuff. There's a severe shortage. Massachusetts brought on the National Guard from it. My son, his busing is horrendous. They're merging bus routes. They're changing bus routes. He was on the bus for 2.5 hours, like 2 weeks ago. It was just horrendous. And that's not going to change. And I don't see how they're even thinking that, or they could even talk about that. So you have inflation. They're going to raise interest rates. So that's an issue. And, they're going to start tapering in terms of buying back bonds and things like that. And they're supposed to start that. They're expecting in December. And that's going to put a little jolt in the stock market because the gravy train is going to be dying. That's going to affect the stock market. And Jerome Powell wants it done in approximately 8 months. So that means that he's doing it pretty aggressively for the most part. That means he is concerned about inflation and everything else associated with it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, we're going to have some issues. Not only with inflation, but there's a basic thing called stagflation. It happened like in the early 70s, where you have high unemployment, high interest, and economic growth is muted. And some individuals say no, it's not like 1973, but we're ramping back up. We're opening up the economy. We're opening up the economy. The economy's been open, but that's what they're saying. They're saying, well, now more people are going to get the vaccination. That's why. But that's not the case. Because even when people have the vaccination, they're still worried. And when the winter comes, you have the flu, and people are going to be very, very cautious. And when they have the flu, they're going to think they have COVID. So they're not going to want to go out. It's just, this is not going to end. It's not going to end well. Well, unfortunately, I got to close out this segment. I want to thank everybody. I can't believe this is my 80th show. 80, so I didn't think I'd last. So thank you very much for everything. Please take care. You can call me at 973-240-8593 or templarcashforhouses.com. Take care, everyone. God bless, and take care of your families. Bye.